Okay, so morning everybody, how are you? My name is Jen, welcome to Law Hero. I make videos about the law, all things to do with the law, some things to do with life, anything that'll make you a better lawyer, be it barrister, solicitor, legal intern, legal assistant, anyone who's trying to upgrade their law life. I'm here for you, and everything I say, all my opinions are all my own, and they are garnered from what I have learned over the last since 2009. And yeah, some people are here because they want to upgrade themselves, and that's very important to me, to assist other people in their journey. I've been helped by other people, and I'm just passing on the knowledge that I've gained, which has made me successful. So my backstory is law graduate, law master's, trainee solicitor, associate in a law firm, then in-house legal counsel. That's been my trajectory in my career, and I have today I'm gonna show you how to present your CV like a menu, because I don't want to make the analogy that a person is like a meal that the employer is going to eat up, but it is kind of like that. It's like a meal your employer has never eaten. This analogy has gone way off. But yeah, I use the CV as a menu because you have your starters, your main course, and your dessert. And it's just an easy way for people to remember how to present a CV. When you think about a menu, before you've even eaten the food, sometimes you see people, when they go into a restaurant, they get like a laminated menu. It's obviously they've just typed it up, they've laminated it. Your impression is quite low. The level of professionalism you expect is quite low. Whereas when you go to, we'll say, like, I don't know, like Shanahan's on the Green, or I'm trying to think any of the restaurants I've been to. I haven't been to many fancy restaurants, but like, I don't know, like the Shelburne or the Ivy, any of these places that are a little bit more expensive than Nando's. I don't know, Nando's is a bad example because it's a franchise, but a little bit more expensive than your run-of-the-mill restaurant. They're going to have the menu on, we'll say, like some kind of special paper that has some texture to it. No, I'm not saying to do this with your CV, just hear me out. The font will be in a certain way. It'll evoke some feeling in you. It'll normally be like down the middle, and they'll have put that into a bound leather like folder thing, and like when you open it, you're just like, because there's no chaos on the menu. It's straightforward. The behavioral psychology around their menu is to keep it simple. Your decision fatigue is low, because like, for example, when you go to tourist destinations, their menu is like 14 pages long, and they have all the pictures. I always think to myself, they have pictures of the food. Food's probably going to be pretty. Anyway, with the fancy restaurant, and you're a fancy restaurant. This is what I want you to think in your mind. Open it, you're like, choices are low. It's very clean. It brings a sense of calm. Chaos in a document brings a sense of unprofessionalism. It's erratic. You're already on guard. When you see this like clean, relaxed menu, CV, you feel a lot more calm. And if I am to think back on all the CVs I've looked at over the past year, like, I look at hundreds of CVs, and my aim is always to keep it simple, stupid. Like, get some of that extraneous detail out, streamline it, make the person look as presentable as possible. Because at the end of the day, the employer's only going to look at the bullet points on your CV. They're not going to overanalyze it. They're only looking for some keywords, like what your result was in your undergraduate, the amount of time like legal intern or law firm pops up in the professional experience part, and then if they want to see, have you some interest outside of the law, that is your sport, extracurricular. And you can already see, I've just described, education is your starters, your main course is your professional experience, and your dessert is your sport, extracurricular, any hobbies or passions you have. And if you've done some voluntary work or charity work, that is the cherry on top, aka the dessert. So when it comes to the cleanliness of the CV, there's a few things that can influence this. So font size, color. I'm just going to pop up my CV here on the screen. So when you see my CV, and this is the layout, a lot of my law heroes have their CVs in now because it's shown to work very, very well. So people usually read from left to right, but their right hemisphere of their body is more influenced than their left. It's the more dominant side, so that's why we put all of the wording to the right hand side. Put your picture to the left hand side, because what will happen is your eyes will dart over to that person. So I use it as a psychological tool. You're reading down through the CV, you're going to keep darting over to the picture. And the reason why I try and keep, normally for my very young and very inexperienced people, I try and keep it to one page, because it's even more effective when you have their name and you have their little fresh face. Sounds very, what's the word? Patronizing, but a lot of the time employers are looking for fresh-faced, kind of young, impressionable people whom they can mold in a professional way. And that might sound to you, a little bit dystopian, but it's the truth. It's a lot of the reason why there's ageism in the legal profession. So they'll be like, okay, young person, we can influence them, and you can actually use this to your benefit, especially if you're undergraduate and especially if you don't have a lot of experience. Again, don't hate the players, hate the game. I always say to people, if it's not what you want to hear, sorry, this is the wrong place you came to. I'm always going to be straight with people. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. That doesn't suit some people. They want to live in their fantasy world where all their dreams come true, and like, you might think in this video I'm sounding a little bit more hardened, and that's because I just spent a week correcting CVs, and I've had this battle with a few people. A few people get it straight away. They're like, yeah, you're right. I need to adapt my approach, because quite literally there's only a handful of jobs and there's thousands of people going for them. So if I'm to be self-aggrandizing and selfish, I'd be like, oh yeah, you're really good. Yeah, you're gonna have a great, you've great chance, you're gonna be fine. I just can't, unfortunately for me. Like, I can be diplomatic, but I'm not going to tell you that you're amazing when you're not. You will be amazing someday, just not right now. And that's the whole point of progression. Like, that's why you call it career progression. You have to start somewhere. I wasn't amazing when I started out. I was told that, I listened, and look, I'm not saying I've made it or anything. I'm never going to have made it. None of us are. There is no destination here. You have to keep listening to people. I get feedback from my own bosses every day. I write down what they say. I actually have a journal where I write down everything my boss tells me. Everything. Any comment around my work, any criticism around my work, I just take my L, and I move on, because that's a growth mindset. If you don't like being criticized, this is not the game for you, so get out. Go and live in a playground and play on a slide. So yeah, the other thing as well is around the CV. I like to keep it simple because, as I said, people don't like chaos. And when you're going for a law job, I think I've said this millions of times, but let me just repeat it again. If your grammar, if your sentence, syntax, and if your structure isn't correct, you're not even going to get an interview, because if you can't draft, if you can't communicate through written communication, you are never going to get a job, full stop. So if it means that you have to take some time out and learn how to write, learn how to communicate, maybe get off your phone and stop texting people and stop TikToking and all that nonsense, and just actually start to write. I don't care what you're writing, let it be functional. Maybe you just read some law books and then summarize it to yourself. You have to learn how to write. It's like the #1 skill. You're basically like an editor. I was talking to somebody very close to me about this, and he said to me, I never really realized that lawyers are like editors. They edit text. I'm like, yeah, that's what we do. So if you can't even get your CV right, how the hell are you supposed to work? And then there's some other tips as well. So I've already explained to you how your CV is a menu. There's some other tips I can give you around making yourself a stronger candidate. So whatever job you go to, keep a daily diary of what you do, and I call this your work CV. So for example, in my job, every single day I write down what I do, and then I put it into a master tracker, so that when I am adapting my CV, when I'm making a general assertion as to the type of tasks I do day to day, I'll be able to go, you know, commercial contracts, licensing agreements, whatever it is. I can see that from the tasks I've done daily. And then if I am going for a job, then I can just plug those in to the descriptions, and I can gear my CV towards that position I'm going for. The worst thing that happens to people is I ask them, so what did you do in that role? And they're like, I can't remember. That's really bad. That means you've just wasted 6 weeks. So always keep detailed account of everything you do. And indeed, like, that's my general tip in life, write everything down. I spend most of my days writing things down, and in the evening I type them up. I write so many notes to myself all day long. I just don't trust my brain to hold it. And yeah, at least Law Hero is somewhere where I can collect a lot of my thoughts. It's as much for me as it is for you guys. And yeah, it is what it is. So make sure that there is some cohesion to our CV, that the dates, you know, make sense. And if there's gaps, be able to explain them. Make sure that the picture you use in your CV is the same as your LinkedIn picture. If your CV is in PDF and you've written some articles, you can link them, or if you've been in the newspaper, you can link that. That always looks really professional. One thing I learned from Rowan Rossiter in the Young Members Committee spring series was, he said, just have a really quick tagline. And this is, I think, more relevant if you're qualified. Would say, for example, if you're taking me, you'd say Jennifer O'Sullivan, solicitor with in-house experience in finance and commercial contracts, something like that. Whereas, you know, if you're somebody who's just coming up, I don't think that's necessary because you don't have that status yet. Whereas if you're in the jobs market, if you're an associate and you're moving around, people need to know your practice area, so it's important to have a tagline. But at this stage, I don't think people need to be like, I am a young person looking to get a job. We know you are. So yeah, and then some of the other tips Rowan gave, which I think I'll reiterate here around LinkedIn, is that you should follow the employers you're interested in, see what they're getting up to. If you've noticed there's some, you know, partners in the law firm, follow them. And also ask for some recommendations on LinkedIn, because, you know, sometimes the employer can go and check and sometimes it can look professional. So there you have it. I hope you gained something from it. If you did, leave a like. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. And as always, all of this stuff is up on lawhero.eu. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much for watching.